Hello and welcome to the NBA Outlet presented by OTGBasketball.com. Make sure you follow OTG on Twitter at OTGBasketball. Also hit that subscribe button. I'm your host, Nick Fay. With me as always, Kory Waldron, and our guest today, Jack Manuell. What's up, guys?
We're the real big three at the Outlet, boys. None of this fake shit out in OKC.
I got the mean Russell Westbrook stank face, all podcast. I'm ready.
All right. Before we get started, a couple shout outs today. Make sure you check out all of the OTG podcasts. We have the NBA Outlet, Brooklyn Buzz, JBT Pod, Full Access Hoop, Shuttleworth Initiative, Celtics Express, and we have Players Watch coming. Yes, that is a mouthful. We have plenty of pods, one for everybody. Also, shout out to Matt Chin, who couldn't make it today. He's our Celtics guy. We'll definitely get him on again. And shout out to Aaron Rodgers returning today. But let's start with Celtics. Celtics are off to an amazing start to the season, 25-7, and that's after losing Gordon Hayward in the first game of the first quarter of the season. So how have they bounced back and had such a successful season without one of their key acquisitions?
Look, their defense. It's been their defense. They've got the best defensive rating in the league, just above the Thunder at 100.6 per 100 possessions. It's slipped a little bit the last 10 games where they've been a bit up and down, where they've had a pretty crammed schedule. But their third quarters of what's really absolutely dominating. Took a look at Celtics blog. Another shout out to Matt Chin, writer over there. They're outscoring their opponents by 16 points per 100 possessions in the third quarter. That's second only to the Warriors right now, and even comfortably ahead of the Rockets. And when they sub in Marcus Smart, it gets really crazy how good they get. So Marcus Smart, he's a weird man in terms of how he actually impacts this team, but he just seems to do the right things. And then that pick and roll combo with Kyrie and Al Horford is working wonders. So, and Jayson Tatum shooting, we all know how well he's shooting, and he had a nice game the other night against Utah despite their loss. But yeah, they're doing well in so many areas. Everyone sort of lifted their game.
Yeah, I mean, when the Hayward injury happened, which I've said probably this is going to be like the 7,000th and 203rd time I've said it. I was in the air was taken out of the room. We were all just in shock. Everyone's reaction added to that shock, and I personally thought the Celtics were done. On to be the NBA champions of November, we gave them the crown of the Eastern Conference way too early, most likely, because they're only a one game ahead of the Cavs. They've been playing great, like Jack mentioned. Their defense is the best in the league. It's funny to hear the Thunder are right there. Just so terrible they don't look like that good of a team. Now, like Kyrie looks really comfortable. Kyrie in an effective environment around a lot freer than he did in Cleveland, and is having, I think, a coach that selflessness. Make that extra pass. Keep the ball moving. I feel like that kind of mentality evolved the game of Kyrie. I know his stats aren't his time in Cleveland, but if you watch Kyrie, he is a completely different player to a degree than what he was in Cleveland. He's not getting the ball with 10 seconds left in the shot clock, force some dribble moves to get to the rim or a dribble move to get a shot. He's just moving freely in an offense that allows players to cut and roll with Al Horford, which has been very successful, like Jack mentioned. And then the guys around him. Jaylen Brown has had a year. Since his best friend passed away a few weeks ago, he's been a little sluggish offensively, but he still gives you that two-way presence. Jayson Tatum has been, but of true rookies, Jayson Tatum and Donovan Mitchell probably have been the best two true rookies that came out of this year's draft class, which is always fun to watch. I mean, I can't remember the last time I've seen this many rookies producing at such a high level to start off their NBA careers. And then, Marcus Smart, the greatest player to ever shoot like under 40%, but have a, plus minus rating that's always positive. Been doing really well. Losing Hayward, Marcus Morris has been in and out. They're making up for what they lost.
Yeah, Brad Stevens is getting a lot out of a lot of different guys, and I think you hit on a great point with Kyrie. Even though the numbers aren't necessarily different, you can see the change in mentality. You can see him running the show, and it's his team, and he's taking on different actions that he might not have taken on last year. So that's really impressive. Has Kyrie been everything you expected in Boston, or has he been more?
I think I was sort of expecting a lot of this So I think he's coached by a better coach. No shade to Ty Lue. Brad Stevens has a more free-flowing system rather than an ISO-heavy system. And that benefits Kyrie. Kyrie gets to do his thing in the fourth, where we know he's been one of the top players with his former teammate LeBron James. His defensive rating has slipped quite a bit. It's 112 now. So early in the season, he was in that top 5 when the Celtics were just balling out in that area when they were on that huge winning streak. His numbers, 24.3 points per game, a little under 5 assists. But it's the shots that he's taking. He's taking more efficient shots. Less mid-ranges, more around the rim, and more from 3. If you take a look at NBA.com and see his shot range, it looks a lot nicer and a lot more efficient and much more Brad Stevens friendly. Like he loves it. And he's taking better catch and shoot jumpers. He's dribbling the ball less. He's cutting more. He's just doing his effective field goal percentage is better. All the things that make Kyrie a better player. And he's still on the up and up because, he's still very young and he's got a long time and he's going to be a key cornerstone to the Boston Celtics' future success.
Yeah, I'm definitely he's definitely surprised me. He's going to be better, becoming the man of his own team. But I thought his offensive numbers would have been a lot higher. And I didn't think anything else was going to be overly different, like his assists, his rebounding. I expected Kyrie to still be heavily ISO. I just thought they'd use him kind of how they did Isaiah Thomas, where they kind of just let him bunch of shots and run the offense. But this team actually, so far has been a lot better than the team last year.
Yeah.
Kyrie, they all just seem to have. They may not be as gritty and as tough as the Boston squad last year. Element to them, they're offensively. This team is a lot better than they were last year. I think there's more guys who can create for themselves. Jay Crowder and Avery Bradley, shoot players, so they just fit in around a guy like Isaiah. I think because everyone is very active, everyone cuts, everyone moves, backdoor screens. It makes Kyrie's job so much easier, and that's something that you can definitely notice.
Yeah, and I think the combination with Al Horford has been great for him, having somebody like that you can rely on, another playmaker from the big position. So I think that's helped them. But like you said, it's almost like the team around, the Celtics compared to the team around Isaiah Thomas last year is a little bit better for the fact that Jayson Tatum, like we mentioned early on, producing really highly as a rookie, and Jaylen Brown taking steps in his game. Who would you say you're more impressed with this year, Jaylen Brown or Jayson Tatum?
It's a real tough one, Nick. If we're going for all-round game, I'll probably go Jaylen Brown just purely because his two-way presence on this team is so important. Jayson Tatum has sort of like more of a Kyrie role where he's sort of more of a help defender and he can sort of get more easy offense, whereas the responsibility on Jaylen Brown is a lot higher. So if we're talking about plus on and off, plus minus, Jayson Tatum, this number completely contradicts what I'm saying. He's 12.8 in the past 10 games, whereas Jaylen Brown is -6. But with a lot of stats, like with the eye test and all the rest, you take them with a grain of salt. As Kory mentioned, he struggled a little bit following the passing of one of his best friends. But, no one rocks a pair of goggles better than he does. Like, wag as hell.
Yeah, I'm rolling with Jayson Tatum. I just think, as a rookie, your rookie campaign can go, so many different ways. You can have no effect, or you can be, up and down. You have moments where you're a star, moments where you look like a rookie. And for Jayson Tatum, who's only 19, he's had a lot more games of, wow, this guy is really good, rather than this guy is inconsistent or this guy, isn't ready. Coming into a team like the Boston Celtics, which we know is one of the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Illustrious franchises in the NBA alongside the Lakers. All the championships, all the banners, the pressures that were coming into this season and losing Hayward. That could really shake up a rookie more minutes and become more of a vocal point. And, this kid embraced it. And last night against Memphis, he was a driving factor in that W. He played 34 minutes. He shot 53% from the field, 1,000% from three because he didn't miss a shot, and had 19 and 1 assist, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Like that's a good rookie night. And he's done this on numerous occasions.
Yeah, honestly, Tatum has been impressive, especially I think the one thing that makes Tatum a little bit more impressive, I would say, is the fact that we didn't expect him to play a ton going to the season. We kind of knew Jaylen Brown had to step up because the Avery Bradley departure and the Jay Crowder departure, where so Tatum was kind of like an unknown. When Hayward went down, it was like, Tatum has to play a lot. One benefit I think that's helped Tatum is his relationship with Kyrie. It seems like they kind of really click, and that's probably kind of helped him off the court. And there's also been talk about him just putting in a lot of work. Working very hard, making sure his three-point shot is lit, and which it is, leading the league. But I got another question for you guys. If you had to trade one, say somebody's offering the Celtics a big-time package, maybe we're talking Anthony Davis or somebody along those lines. You have to give up Tatum or Brown. Who are you giving up?
Marcus Smart. I'd probably go Jayson Tatum. Just purely because two-way players are so much harder to find in today's NBA, especially at the position where Brown is. He's able to defend probably 2 to 4. He's still, maturing as a player. He's had his up and down moments, but Jayson Tatum, could probably be a modern day Melo with defense, with the development. But I think it's very hard, and I don't think that Danny Ainge does it. I remember hearing on another podcast them saying that they wouldn't do it, and I'm like, if you get an Anthony Davis, you're giving up one of them. So
if you're not willing to trade one of them for Anthony Davis, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, Anthony Davis is the top 5 player on a good day. He's one of the best two-way players in the game. So I think, plus he's young, plus he's like 24, 25. So it's not that much of a difference anyway. It's like a 3-4 year difference, if that. So I'd probably go Tatum just because I think the system around, as you guys mentioned, around him benefits him, whereas Jaylen Brown has a bit more individual talent and grit and defensive capabilities.
If you give me a trade on the table for Anthony Davis or even DeMarcus Cousins, and the asking price is Jayson Tatum, even that Terry Rozier or Marcus Smart, and that Lakers draft pick, and the Lakers draft pick or the Kings draft, whatever one they have, I'm saying yes every day into the week. I'll say yes that day too. Jayson Tatum has obviously been special this year, but Celtics is still rebounding, and I'm not missing an opportunity to get one of the 2 best big men in the league.
Oh yeah,
on my roster. Especially if you're trying to win, like if you're trying to win now, I guess it depends on too. Like
even if you're trying to win later,
though.
Even if you're trying to win later, Anthony Davis is.
Yeah.
I think, well, you look at Davis, this is kind of off topic, but he would be the guy that would kind of give them that separation because of his impact. Cleveland really wouldn't have an answer for Anthony Davis. They really wouldn't. So
if you get Davis or Cousins, there's no center in the East really that can guard you.
Yeah. Porzingis could probably do a good job on AD, but Cousins would eat him alive down low.
Yeah, and then who else? Dwight Howard. I mean, he's played fantastic, but do I trust him in a 7-game series going head-to-head with DeMarcus Cousins or Anthony Davis? No.
Yeah, consistently, you'll probably win every matchup. The other guy might have an advantage here or there, but for the most part, if you have a Davis or a Cousins, you're going to win that matchup every single night in the Eastern Conference.
Easily.
But talking about the Cavs, give me a percentage on the chances that Boston beats the Cavs in a 7-game series.
I'll go 30, 35. Just LeBron James is having one of his best years of his career, best season of his career in his 15th year. And he's literally going against Father Time. An article I put up yesterday or the day before about the fact that, Ari's minutes becoming too much of a thing. And, I came out with a pretty nuanced, sort of balanced take on it. But LeBron is just doing superhuman things and things that no other 33-year-old has done in the NBA. So I think wherever LeBron is, if it's in the Eastern Conference, you cannot pick against LeBron. If he's injured, then the Celtics are by far and away probably that second best team. And then in that tier below, you could probably chuck in the Raptors with their new style, and even the Wizards and the Bucks if they get their shit together.
I mean, if if LeBron ever goes down, that Cavaliers team is not even a top 5 team in the East. I mean, if we want to be honest, that team probably falls on like flat on its face.
Yeah,
I mean,
unless
they
Isaiah
wouldn't have
Thomas
the
was able.
They wouldn't have the
Kevin Love, guys, come on. Chetty Osman. He's not.
Yeah,
Ante Zizic.
they probably.
Isaiah Thomas would have to be like fantastic, Nick, to where
Yeah,
I think you were going with that.
Yeah, he'd have to be like MVP type form from last year. Even then, though, defensively they would be embarrassing.
Ugh.
So I mean, for me, percentage wise, I would probably put 20%. You know, like a 1 in 5 chance. Most likely, like Jack said, LeBron is out there. You're going with LeBron. You know, Father Time is undefeated, but if one guy's going to beat him, it's LeBron.
Yeah.
And as LeBron said yesterday, or the day before, he said, you know, I'm 32. I'm going to be 33, and I feel the best I've ever felt in my entire NBA career, and I want it all. And that is, to me, just terrifying to hear the best player at his age, about to be 33, and he's still, he's feeling the best he's ever felt. Like, what did you feel like when you were MVP for like 5 years in a row? Like, what were you feeling compared then to now? Like, it's terrifying.
The one thing I did.
To steal a quote from your piece, Jack, you brought up a point. I think it was KD who said, you know, LeBron treats his health religiously. Like he's always worried about his diet and what he eats. So I think, you know, that is a huge factor. And LeBron also says he feels like he gets better as a basketball player every year. Like his skills get better. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah, that step back 3 that he's added to his arsenal is just like
lethal.
Almost. Yeah, it's unguardable. But one thing that is worrisome as a whole is that he's doing so much within 30 games of the season, and they're only like just scraping through. I think the ideal thing that would be happening for the Cavs right now is that they would be blowing out teams, and I mentioned this in my piece, they'd be blowing out teams and then allowing him to sit. So he's playing 32, 34 minutes rather than 37, 38, 40 on maybe in some OT games. But they're scraping past some of these teams like Sacramento, Utah, teams you expect them to get by comfortably. But hopefully that comes sooner rather than later. And then the return of Isaiah helps that. And then, you know, it all sort of starts to click because I think that they're still by far and away the best challenger to the Warriors out east. And it'd be sacrilege to say otherwise.
Yeah, I agree. I think Isaiah Thomas's comeback is going to be probably one of the most impactful things for the Cavs, either positive or negative, because in terms of positive, it could give LeBron that relief, that rest, but negative, even if he's not healthy, they're still going to need LeBron to be the guy that he is right now. But moving over to the Western Conference, we'll talk about the best team in the West right now, and that's the Houston Rockets. 24-4, 13-game win streak. James Harden is cooking. That Chris Paul and James Harden experiment is amazing. What are your thoughts on this team? Why are they so successful?
Yeah, we mentioned about the Celtics. Who would have thought the Mike D'Antoni team would be playing unbelievable defense? They've got all the pieces there. They've got really nice wing depth. They've got one of the best point guard defenders of all time. And since CP3 returned, they actually have the second best defensive rating, just behind the Raptors. But the actual best net rating because of their unbelievable offense. Their true shooting is through the roof. 41.9% of their shots are coming from the perimeter, which is, huge 6% of its nearest competitor, the Heat. Their pace as well has increased. The Rockets are scoring 1.14 possessions, 1.14 points per possession when Harden and Paul share the floor. To put that into context, the next best is when the Warriors have Clay, Steph, and Durant on the floor. They're scoring 1.12 possessions. So that point guard partnership is just unbelievable. And Harden has elevated his game. He's doing ridiculous things, and we mentioned LeBron doing otherworldly things in his this year, but James Harden might be doing things just a little bit better.
Yeah, we talked about it on the preview series, and we've talked about it probably all over once Chris Paul was traded. There's people who doubted it, and then I, from the start, thought that having two playmakers like this, I've never seen before. And so far, it's been something that we've really never seen before. It's two ball-dominant playmakers. And Mike D'Antoni, shout out to D'Antoni. He's done a fantastic job of, splitting when they're on the court. They don't really miss a beat. Chris Paul, knocking on wood, bearing health has been fantastic since he's been back from that initial knee soreness that he got the first game against the Warriors. And he's averaging, for like a 9 assists. He's averaging 3.2 steals per game in December, 20 point. Like, he's been fantastic. And they have this team completely built around those two guys. I don't think I've seen a roster better constructed for your two stars than this Houston team, at least to this point. Obviously the Warriors have the best team with all the superstars. This is more, right? Is that to a degree? You got Abalamute, Trevor Ariza, PJ Tucker, Ryan Anderson has been fantastic. Clint Capella is arguably a most improved player of the year candidate. And you just have an assortment of guys whose only job on the Rockets is to shoot threes and play defense. Paul has been back too. The defense of the Rockets is something that sheds out more than their offense. We knew they could score 120 points a night. We didn't know they could limit teams to just under 100 or around 100 points as they scored 120, which is what makes them so deadly.
Yeah, I think you hit on a great point with the roster. The roster construction, Daryl Morey did an amazing job putting this team together. And I think the fact, a lot of people were worried about the Chris Paul Harden thing. I think one thing that really people should have thought about a little bit more is the fact that Chris Paul and James Harden wanted it to happen. Chris Paul made this happen from reports and what people said behind the scenes. He made the pieces come together. So I think that is something. And Chris Paul and Harden both know that they need this successful season. They need to do a splash in the postseason. Just hypothetically, imagine what it would say on their resume if they were able to upset the Warriors in the playoffs this year and get to the finals and win a championship. I think you would completely forget about every bad thing that's happened in Chris Paul and James Harden's postseason career.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
So I think I'm pretty excited to see what will happen with that. I've seen a lot of people tweet out, please give us a series that we're all wishing for, and that's Golden State and Houston. Obviously, we are a long ways away, but right now that's my dream Western Conference Finals.
I wouldn't have it any other way at this point in time. I think if you're a true basketball fan, you want to see the best of the best playing against the best of the best in the biggest stage of the league, like the Western Conference Finals, the Eastern Conference Finals, to get to the finals. Like, I obviously want to see Boston and Cleveland, and I want to see Houston and the Warriors.
Well, talking about Boston and Cleveland, who has a better chance, would you say, at upsetting their counterpart? Does Houston have a better chance of upsetting Golden State, or does Boston have a better chance of upsetting Cleveland?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah,
I think a lot of people are jumping on the Houston Rockets bandwagon, but we are only a third of the way into the season, so I'm waiting for January when they meet each other again, and when the Warriors might actually be healthy and have Draymond and Steph back in their lineup. I think Boston probably has a better chance, just purely because when the game slows down, and I like their depth, I like their roster construction, I like their coaching. Whereas Houston have faults in the playoffs before, and the Golden State Warriors will turn things up, and they just have another level. Whereas right now, you could almost argue that the Houston Rockets are peaking. And I think of what keeps getting forgotten is that the San Antonio Spurs are just now integrating Kawhi Leonard. And I'm really excited to see what the Spurs can do once Kawhi is healthy, because we all saw what happened last season before Zaza committed treason on the NBA and absolutely destroyed one of the darlings, and it completely changed the conference finals. So I'm very intrigued to see what happens with San Antonio as well.
Yeah, for just to piggyback off that, I do think the Spurs are now in the position to become deadly. Kawhi's coming back. Pop will probably manage his minutes, overly restricting them, far more than they need to be probably to start off his return, especially because that's what Popovich does, which is why he's such a great coach too. But they're definitely a team to watch out for. I think Houston, before an upset rather than the Celtics, I still just don't think the Celtics are ready to take on and beat a LeBron James with that current roster in 7. Hear this, but it's still big brother, little brother situation between him and LeBron. But for Houston, and Jack, you made a great point. This does look like a Houston team that is peaking. They're shooting ridiculous numbers. They're playing at a ridiculous pace. Their defense is top notch. For any major injuries, I mean, they lost Abalamute for a couple of weeks. which could have been a lot worse if you guys saw that fall injury he had.
Yeah. It looked like he
Yeah.
broke his arm at first.
It could have been a lot worse. So 1 to 3 weeks is definitely a silver lining to that. And I forgot to mention before, Eric Gordon, too, is another guy who most improved for how he's played so far this season, as well as six-man for what he does for Houston. But I think because Houston has all those wing defenders, because they shoot such a high volume of threes, Harden, Chris Paul, the way they facilitate and how they make everyone else so much better. I don't know if I'm not saying they would beat the Warriors, but I think they have a better chance of beating the Warriors than said the Celtics over the Cavs.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm putting all my chips in the Houston Rockets sign. They may be peaking right now, but what happens? They go on a 15-game win streak, and then maybe they have a bad 2 months. They still have plenty of time to get back in the rhythm in time for the playoffs, so I'm not really too concerned about that. I think, like you said, Kory, the big brother, little brother thing, LeBron ain't losing to Kyrie. That's just a terrible look for him, and that is just not going to happen. Like, I mean, I said 20% before, and that 20% is the possibility of LeBron getting hurt. Both teams healthy. I'll probably give Houston 25% chance to beat Golden State, and like I said, 20% for Boston. I think I'm just so invested into the Rockets right now with James Harden, the way he's playing. He obviously has a huge chip on his shoulder, and having a guy like Chris Paul there, I think will allow him to get to that next level in his game. Like last year in the postseason against the Spurs, even a little bit in the OKC series, like the other team made his life miserable at points. They made it so difficult for him to do anything. And he had nobody really else. Like the rest of the team was really struggling shooting wise. So having a player like Chris Paul, another playmaker around, should make Harden's life a lot easier, especially when he does have that game when Kawhi's locking him up. Like there's no doubt. Go ahead, Kory.
I was just saying it didn't help last year either in the playoffs that their roster was a 7-man rotation. You know, Harden had to do so much more because he couldn't also get off the court as much as he probably needed to.
Exactly.
It's going to help that.
Yeah, and the depth across the whole line, like you pointed out, like they have so many good pieces everywhere. Like even guys like Nene, who steps his game up in the postseason. He hurt them last year when he got hurt. So I'm really invested into the Rockets. I'm super hyped to see what they can do. Obviously, like Jack said, it's still really early in the year, but pretty hyped. What do you think the Rockets can win 70 games this year?
No, I think that's way out of reach. It's not to say that they can't go on like all right. Their run right now, I think, is fourth best. Their streak right now is fourth best in franchise history. I think if they stay healthy, yes, but I don't see D'Antoni making the same mistake twice where he forced James Harden almost, or James Harden forced him to sort of play him more regular season games than he should have because he was chasing that MVP. I think right now he's probably the MVP leader. LeBron James could supersede him at some point, depending on when either of those guys rest. If they rest, I'm sure LeBron will. As I mentioned in my piece, he hasn't played 82 games since his Miami Heat days. So I think it's a nice pipe dream. But if the Golden State Warriors couldn't do it last year with Kevin Durant and their big three, then this big two, unless they get really rolling and they actually, I can't see it happening. 65 maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I could see 65 as a peak. I think 70 is just a little bit out of reach. It also came out today that James Harden has
right knee issue, right?
Yeah, right knee issue. He's going to play through it, which, you know,
terrible.
Why are you playing through it, dog? Like, you just take a week off or something. I get it. You're a competitor. You want to compete. There's a reason why they kept out Chris Paul for a month. Really only needed to be out for like a week or two, but they went double the time just to make sure he was all right. I think it also could be James Harden being stubborn to a degree. MVP conversation could be back into he doesn't want to lose any ground to LeBron.
But he wouldn't. That's the thing.
Right. But I mean, at this point, if you're James Harden, you can make the argument he's been snubbed 2 years in a row. He may be thinking, I can't give the writers or anyone any reason to not give me this award if he truly cares about the award. I'm not really sure what he's thinking, but he's going to play through it.
Yeah, I agree with what you guys said. I think it would probably make more sense to at least rest them. Maybe Harden's worried about the win streak and they think they can do something special because they're clicking so well, but definitely not worth it at this point in the season. But let's talk about, we've mentioned a lot of LeBron. Let's talk about a little young gun that gets plenty of hype around the league, and that's Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball and the Lakers faced the Cavs, I think, last Wednesday or Tuesday. LeBron and Lonzo had a nice little chat after the game. What were your thoughts on that? Obviously, some of the audio got leaked. So it's kind of what you expect from LeBron. He's always looking out for the young guys.
He is. We saw that in Sports Illustrated piece about Ben Simmons, the impact he had on Ben, Aussie Ben, and now, having a word to Lonzo about, sort of staying aggressive, get all that white noise out of you, just keep being you. But I think the best thing to come out of this was the memes, as it is always. When LeBron does LeBron things and, sort of just plays the media like a little fiddle, and he loves it. And I think he was a bit upset that it did come out. But, dude, with such, huge, eyes on him no matter what he's doing, there's lip readers everywhere. And the wonderful people of Reddit were always going to figure it out. But the best things were the memes. My favorite one was, LeBron. You see how Porzingis pulled Jen Seltzer? Lonzo, yeah. That boy the GOAT. And he is. I mean, we've all seen Jen before, but there were so many awesome ones. And I could go for days, but I'll let Kory speak because I think he has some awesome opinions on it as well.
I mean, just the soundbite, of him saying, find your zone and just say effing locked in. I'm not sure why I didn't curse, but you're welcome for not cursing. He is going to ask you what I told you right now. You tell them nothing, which I think that's my favorite part of this all. Tell them nothing, as if he is just some kind of like CIA, secret op, and he's just like telling them some words of advice, and it's just, it's cool. I'm a big fan of when veterans go and they talk to rookies. Even last night, Wade and LeBron had a conversation with Donovan Mitchell after the game. I just like that. That's how you build the younger generation of basketball players up. They have to be able to talk and pick the brains of the veterans. And veterans like LeBron, they always seem willing to give advice. Kobe's always been that way too. Kobe is more than willing to listen to give anyone advice. His phone line is pretty much open to anyone to a degree. And I feel like LeBron James, too, he's still playing is very much the same way. So I'm a big fan of it. And like Jack mentioned, some of the memes that came out with LeBron covering his mouth were hilarious. I know I saw one saying, I can be your new daddy if you want.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of them that just play on the current Lonzo Ball and the Ball family drama.
I think I saw one that was kind of savage. I don't know if you guys said it. It was like, yeah, I'm coming to LA, but keep Leangelo away from my shit.
Yeah, that was.
That's a good one.
I liked one. You ever say the Earth is flat or any of that deep fake nonsense? And I swear I'm not coming next year. I like that. And then I'll trade you Tristan for that hairline was also, which is pretty savage. But
I saw one and said, I'm coming next year, but you're on your way out for somebody. And I can't remember the player. But it's like, all right.
Well, you guys mentioned, how LeBron likes to help the young kids out, and Kobe did. But let's talk about some veterans and young guys not getting along, and this happened Friday night. Carmelo Anthony, Russell Westbrook, and Joel Embiid. So triple overtime game. Things got a little interesting. Embiid and Melo got into it a little bit after Embiid was celebrating an and one type of play. And then after the game, the OKC won, and Russell Westbrook was waving goodbye to him as he was walking out.
It was awesome. And I talked about it on JBT Pod with Nick about the lameness of Russell's, insult in saying go home. Because it's like, isn't like they were versing the Sixers in Philly. So, like, I mean, I like it when there's banter. I like it when guys go at it. Joel Embiid saying, like, I love how he always ends his thing. It's like, they don't want to come at me. I'm African. I love that how he keeps on saying that. And then when he was saying, like, Melo is never going to come at me. But, like, Melo's had his days where he can be pretty aggressive. He's like, you don't want me. You don't want me. I just like the fieriness. It was, for me, one of the games of the year. There were so many moments with the Russ dunk and the ultimate stank face. And then Joel Embiid, like, walking like Quasimodo up the court and then somehow, miraculously getting 2 blocks out of nowhere. There were so many highlights and it was so fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, Melo should worry about his shooting percentage, but Joel Embiid and the Sixers have set themselves up for when they become in their prime and set up that they're going to be, I think, the next villains of the league. Even after the Melo and Embiid back and forth, Embiid backs off a little bit, and he turns around and he pumps up the crowd. They've just got this he's got this ultimate but I want everyone else on this court to hate me. Taking shots at Karl-Anthony Towns, saying defense, and it's just like yikes. There is never a moment where this guy is just not throwing a jab at somebody, and it's hilarious.
I love it.
Him and Whiteside, him and Drummond. He's going at everybody. He just doesn't care. And LeVar.
Towns.
Even though him and LeVar had a nice moment after the game where they went at each other, they dapped up and they talked a little bit. He's just having a good time, but I could definitely see him turning into a villain.
Yeah,
Melo's got to act tough.
Yeah, and the whole Sixers team, I could see them becoming that villain, especially in a couple of years. And Joel Embiid on that, just on Friday night alone, I saw plenty of tweets where I can't stand this guy. Oh my God, I love Joel Embiid. It's definitely a love-hate type of thing. You either love his personality or you hate him. He kind of brings shout out to Parth Variety. He used to always talk about this in the outlet. It kind of brings some WWE feel to the NBA because it's all trash talk and nothing's really ever going to happen of it, but it's still fun to watch.
Yeah, and Joel Embiid mentioned it himself in an article earlier this week by Ramona Shelburne on ESPN about how he is acutely aware of the fact that everyone has their days where they turn into the villain. It happened to LeBron, it's happened to Steph, it's happened to Dwight very remarkably. I think everyone forgets how well loved Dwight Howard was. It's almost like Joel Embiid to an extent. Whether that happens as drastically as it did for Dwight, I highly doubt it because Joel Embiid, if he stays healthy and if he keeps up this play, he's already one of the best centers in the NBA. But it's really nice to see that intelligence and that self-awareness from him already coming because you'd much rather be hated and a good team than be a shit team and go, oh, well, I feel sorry for you guys. I hope you guys win. Nick and I know that feeling all too well being Nets fans.
Oh, yes. But on to something a little bit more fun, not trash talk. We're going to talk some word association. So I'm going to give you guys some words, and you're going to associate them with a team. The point is to be quick and fast-paced, so you don't have to explain a lot. Just shoot it right out. So first word, horrible.
Kings.
Atlanta Hawks.
Surprise. He's been on the Hawks hate bandwagon since the first ever outlet that I did with you guys, and
yes,
the first ever with me. That's how I know Kory. It's his personality is encompassed by Hawks hate, and I love it.
All right, let's go with inconsistent.
Go to the Detroit Pistons. They've been so up and down lately. I think some of it has to do with their schedule, but they were the darlings of the NBA, and in the past outlets we talked them up for a top 4 seed, but now they've hit back to earth and they're holding on for dear life in the playoffs. So for me, it's the Pistons.
For me, it's the Thunder because they have 3 guys who take over 15 shots per game. And out of 34 players who take over 15 shots per game, they have the 3 worst players in the league in field goal percentage in Westbrook, Melo, and Paul George.
Kory dropping some stats for us. Yeah, I definitely would go OKC and Detroit. They're definitely inconsistent because you really Detroit, like Jack said, 1 month ago, we thought they might be a top 4 seed in the East the whole season. Now they look like they might not even make the damn playoffs. And OKC, we could talk about for 2 hours.
It's a Van Gundy team. I feel like the Pistons are a typical Van Gundy team where you just never know what's going to happen on a nightly basis.
Yeah, and you thought that they were possibly buying into Van Gundy completely because he's had success with a good big man down low and then some shooters surrounding him like in Orlando, but this hasn't been that way. Next word, Frank.
I'm gonna go with Frank Ntilikina. It's just the first thing that comes to mind. The Frank the Tank. He's I could probably go with the Kaminsky out in Charlotte, but Frank the Tank for me, he's been a nice welcome surprise out in New York. And there were rumors actually being brought up about the fact that should the Knicks target Kemba Walker and trade Frank Ntilikina, as well as maybe a Courtney Lee or a Cantor to Charlotte, because we've advocated for a Charlotte blowing it up here at the outlet and Kemba could be a nice fit alongside KP, but he's just developing some good chemistry with Ntilikina, and he's already quite an elite defender out in the perimeter.
Not to cut you off, Kory, real quick. Also, Kemba, I believe, is from New York, and he went to UConn. So there is some ties there. Could be interesting. Frank, very raw player. He's really popped this season. But go ahead, Kory.
All right, I got a little corny pun or whatever. Visually, may not be any Sinatra, but he's here, and I'm just being frank with you.
So there's Kory's pun. Let's try to get one more in here. Wacky.
Orlando Magic.
Yeah, Orlando Magic are pretty wacky, but I'm going to Tom Thibodeau just because every time, the emotion that the man shows, he looks like the Penguin from Batman. He could be he could fit in any movie as the evil villain and a wacky sort of crazy guy. Chuck him in a Marvel movie. He'd fit perfectly as a wacky villain. So I'm going purely based off appearance.
Yeah, I picked Orlando because I think Orlando is just they have these months where you're like, oh, look at them, possibly a top 5 team in the East, and then we're 2 weeks later and they are in the bottom tier again.
Yeah. And it's been like that for a couple. They're just wacky in terms of their whole entire organization. They trade all these good players like your boy Oladipo, Tobias Harris, and they don't get much back in return. And then they'll have a great win here and a terrible loss here. And now, like you said, they're back to the bottom of the East and looking like another lotto season. So tough for the Orlando Magic fan. But that wraps it up today. Kory, Jack, excellent show, and thank you for hopping on. And as always, thank you everybody for listening. And you can listen to the NBA Outlet on iTunes, Blog Talk Radio, and OTGBasketball.com.
Let's get wacky.